Hi, how are you?
Okay, I am gonna be honest. I am a little bit nervous. Everyone say hello to Remy. Hello, Remy. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber, if I'm being honest, but it scares me because I'm not very comfortable in front of a camera, and it worries me not creating content that people want to watch. Something that, but I've heard from other YouTubers that if you just make something that you would want to watch, you'll find your people. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. I'm nervous, but I know in reality, like, nobody's gonna see this, so really I have nothing to be worried about. Today we're going to be reading some Am I the A-hole posts. What are those called? I guess posts on Reddit. And you're going to hear my 2 cents, okay? Because I have a lot of opinions when I watch other content creators do videos on this. I have a lot of comments because people tend to piss me off. As soon as I figure out how to take a screenshot on my laptop, we'll we'll get into it.
1 hour later.
Okay, I am back. I figured out how to take a screenshot on my laptop. Um, and I was scrolling through the titles on some of the Am I the A-hole posts to see which ones stood out to me, which ones I might want to read and talk about. So I found one. It's titled my hold on, let me click on it. My parents, 65F, 67M, are livid because I'm not allowing them to see my daughter after they spanked her. Am I the a-hole? So we're gonna read that one, and I apologize for the running water noise. I have a fish tank over there, and it makes noise. That's just something that it does, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. It says that this one has updates. It's in the r/best of Redditor updates. So this is the original post. We'll read that, and then we'll read the update. The original post is long, and I'm gonna need you to bear with me because I'm not the best at reading. Says, I created this account just to talk about this because it seems all my friends except my wife is on their side. For context, I live abroad and this is only the second time my family has met my daughter. My wife, 28 female, and I, 28 male, flew down for the holidays as well as an extended vacation so my daughter, 3 female, could get to see my home country, Brazil, and have fun. Different experience. We spent New Year's Eve at my parents' with my extended family. Everything seemed to be going well until on the 3rd, my wife and I left the house to run some errands and left my daughter alone with my parents. My daughter is a very smart girl. She loves talking. She's sweet but opinionated. And we like to encourage that. We want her to know that her voice and her thoughts matter, and we are here to listen. My parents, however, seem to disagree. Just right off the bat, they disagree with their granddaughter having an opinion. Like, I understand she's 3 years old, but what do you mean you disagree with someone being able to form an opinion? That doesn't make any sense. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for them. While we were out, my mom called me telling me that my daughter was being disrespectful. I asked her what she was doing, and she told me that she was arguing about the cartoon they picked for her to watch and wanted to watch something else they didn't know. I'm gonna pause again. I understand that this is a 3-year-old. Okay, I get that, but why do you, as the grandparents, get to decide like what they watch? I understand not like wanting them to watch like a fucking R-rated movie or some bullshit, but if it's just another children's show that your granddaughter likes and enjoys watching, I don't see the issue in letting them instead of kind of just forcing them to watch what you want them to watch. It just kind of seems off of like the fucking first paragraph, pardon my language, off the first paragraph and like the beginning of the second one, that the grandparents kind of want their granddaughter to fit into like a bubble, like a bubble that they've fucking picked out for her, instead of the granddaughter being able to grow into her own person. We'll see. That's just how it's seeming. And I didn't understand. We don't always have to give kids what. And oh, English is hard. And I did understand. We don't always have to kid.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
But there's no did in that sentence. I don't know what I'm reading, but it's not this. And I understand we don't always have to give kids what they want, but I don't see the harm in that, especially because I don't exactly trust whatever they choose for her due to certain ideological differences we have. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't always give a child what they want, but I feel like them getting to watch a TV show that they want to watch isn't, like, it's not the end of the fucking world, you know? But it's also, on the other side of the coin, it's also not the end of the world for the child to watch something that the grandparents chose. And also, if the grandparents do choose to have the kid watch something that's, you know, political or not in line with the parents' views, there's a line you don't cross, especially as a grandparent, because it's not your job to teach that kid about certain ideologies or politics or anything. The kid's fucking 3 years old, so it's not like they would grasp the concept of it anyways. But even like when the kid gets older, if they're trying to push their ideologies onto the kid, it's not their position to do that. Like, I know that wasn't said in this, but seeing that the father of the child doesn't align with their ideologies, and that's something that he's worried about, I mean, there's got to be something there for him to have those worries in the first place. So I sent her a link to a YouTube series she likes to watch, and I asked her, I'm gonna pause. There's some garbage. There's some absolute garbage on YouTube Kids. So I hope that it's not absolute garbage, because then I can understand the grandparents not wanting the kid to watch it. And asked her to put that on instead, and I tell her that dad and mom would be back soon to talk to her. My mom bless me. Where was I? I'm gonna fucking sneeze again. Pardon my language. I don't know why I have an issue with not swearing, and that's something I do need to not do if I want my YouTube channel to be monetized eventually. But for right now, I don't give a shit, because I'm not getting paid for it anyway, so why does it matter? Next, my mom told me that she had already taken care of it. I was confused as to what that meant, and she followed up to say that she spanked her to teach her not to argue. So what I just heard is that you hit a child to teach them something? I don't understand the normalization of spanking your kid, because it's so normalized now that people don't see it as, hello, people don't see it as abuse. But that's what it is, and you're hitting your kid, no matter if it's on their butt or not. You're hitting your child. If you look at it that way, it sounds a lot like abuse, doesn't it? Because that's what it is. So that's not something that I approve of or support in any way, because I don't believe you should be hitting your child. And for the grandparents to think that, number one, it's okay to hit somebody else's child. It's not your fucking kid. Don't hit it. Them. It's not an it. Children aren't its. Two, that's an appropriate way to teach them a lesson. It's just not. When children get abused, what's running through their mind isn't, oh, if I do this, like, if you hit me, I'll stop doing it. Yes, that is what happens, but what's running through their head is, I'm scared of you. I'm scared that if I do this, I'm gonna get beat, I'm gonna get hit, which is not a very healthy tactic to raising children. You shouldn't want your children to be scared of you, and that's what will happen if you hit them, even if it's just a spanking, because that is, at the end of the day, bottom line, that is abuse. Needless to say, I was furious. I hung up, told my wife, and we immediately dropped everything and drove back. We do not do spanking, and we never have, and we never will. As someone who is spanked a lot for the most unnecessary and stupid reasons, I understand it does not work and only harms the child. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, spanking your child, it doesn't really teach them anything. It just teaches them to be scared of you. and you don't want your child scared of you. That's not something. And your child doesn't, if your child doesn't feel safe in their home, then obviously you're doing something wrong and you need to fucking reevaluate. But in the long run, if the spanking is severe enough, or even if it's not, every kid develops differently with different with a different mental, it could result in your child having long running issues, like long running mental health. Okay, I just had a small issue with my storage. I'm gonna have to figure something out for that, because I'm just using my phone, because I don't have a camera or anything, and the camera on my laptop is shit. So I'm gonna have to figure something out for that. But in the meantime, we'll continue. And yes, I had mentioned it to my parents. We had pretty ugly arguments when we arrived, but I kept my position clear. They did not have the right to do that, and I wouldn't be taking it lightly. My parents are very strict in their ways, and they refuse to apologize or even acknowledge that what they did was wrong, if not for the spanking, for doing it without my permission. So I just feel like you're right. Your parents had no right to do that, and the fact that they're not apologizing raises some concerns, especially that they think that is okay to hit a child. I feel very strongly about this topic because I was spanked as a kid, and I do view it as abuse, because I just think it's been so normalized now in life that it's okay to do that, to discipline your child. But it's really no different than fucking like slapping them across the face, and nobody would be okay with that. So why are we okay with spanking them? That's just, I feel very strongly about this, because abuse of children or of anyone should not be normalized, and that's what spanking is. It is normalized abuse, and that's not okay. Long story short, we packed the same day and left. I called the hotel for the next city we were visiting and booked a room earlier. It was about a week before we were planning to leave. I made it very clear to my parents I didn't want to hear any more excuses. Oh, it's his parents. For some reason I kept thinking it was his wife's or girlfriend's parents. His wife's parents. But it's his parents. It hits a little bit harder knowing that, like, previously in this post he said that he was spanked for like little things, like nothing that was super bad. Not that anything gives you a reason to hit your child, but it just kind of makes me think, was this 3-year-old actually misbehaving enough to quote-unquote warrant a spanking, or were the grandparents just kind of fed up with the 3-year-old being opinionated and didn't want to deal with it anymore? So that's another thing. Spanking is also just like an out for the parent. Instead of doing actual parenting, they'll just hit you to make you scared to not do what you were doing, which it's just like a cop out for the parent, which is not how you parent. I'm not a parent, but like I feel like I could do it better. I made it very clear to my parents I don't want to hear any more excuses. I sent them some articles on parenting and child abuse and told them I wouldn't be talking to them or allowing them to talk to or see my daughter again until they've read those and contacted me to apologize and acknowledge that what they did was horrible and wrong. I think that's a good way to go about it. Sending them articles and like facts on what child abuse can do to a child. But based on my own experience, a lot of the times parents don't like to admit when they're in the wrong, so they're not going to, especially if they're the type of parent to think that spanking your child is okay. I don't think that they're gonna really receive any constructive criticism too well. Fast forward to now. It's been over 2 weeks, and all I've heard from them are enraged complaints about how they know what they're doing because they did it to me and I turned out okay, so it must work. And now I'm being ridiculous and unfair because they were only trying to help, and they don't get to see my granddaughter often since I live abroad. That's another thing. You don't get to see your granddaughter that often, and then the one time you actually have the opportunity to spend some quality time with your granddaughter, you're abusing her. Make it make sense. I received calls from my sister, who is a lot like them, defending them, from my sister's husband, from his father, from 2 of my uncles, my father's brothers, even from some of my cousins. To put it shortly, what everyone is saying is that I should forgive them and forget about it because they had good intentions. Did they? They hit a child because the child wasn't behaving the exact way that they wanted that child to behave. That's good intentions? I don't think so. And they don't get to see my granddaughter often, so I'm being unfair. We had plans to spend a few more days with my parents in early February before our flight home, but I canceled it. And I think that's fair. Your parents overstepped a boundary, and it's not even like a boundary that should have to be talked about, because I just feel like if I'm having you watch my children, maybe don't hit them. Like, I feel like that's just common sense. Whether you view that as discipline or not, it's common sense to not hit somebody else's child. Even if it is your granddaughter, that doesn't make a difference. It's still not your child. And also, don't hit any children, even if it is your child. Just don't fucking hit kids. Is that so hard to grasp? And that's what I'm talking about when I say that spanking has become a normalized abuse, that people don't even see it as abuse anymore. His sister's husband, his father, uncles, cousins, they all say that it's not that big of a deal, when in reality, it is. I don't think that they would have the same response if the grandparents like hit the child in the face, or anything other than a spanking. I don't think that they'd have the same response of, oh, it's fine, because it's not. But spanking is the same thing. I don't think I'm in the wrong, but I can see partly where their reasoning behind the they don't get to see her often point, though I'm still very much not inclined to yield. Am I the a-hole? See, I don't think so. I don't believe that he is the asshole, because again, the parents, it doesn't matter if they don't get to see them often, that maybe change your behavior and you would get to see your granddaughter more. I just kind of feel like those two would go hand in hand, because you don't get to finally be able to see your granddaughter and then hit them. Like, I wonder why you don't get to see them that often. Not even just the fact that he lives farther away. Even if he lived close, I don't think he'd want you to see his daughter, just based on your fucking actions. Let's read some comments. The first comment says, not the asshole. Rule number 1 in handbook for grannies and grandpies is never spank or otherwise parent your grandchildren. I agree. You're there to watch them. You're not there to parent them, essentially. You're not there to be their parent. Sorry, my toes are cold and I should probably get up and get socks, but I don't want to, so I'm just gonna hold them awkwardly. Do you like this? Is this good? Is this the best content you've ever seen? And then OP responded to that comment saying, I feel like I'm partially to blame because I should have expected that from them. Which I don't think he's to blame in any way whatsoever, because once again, I feel like it's common sense not to hit somebody else's child. So you don't go bringing your children over to your parents' house to have them watch them and expect them to hit your child. I just, like, it's not really how that works. Commenter 2 says, what's their problem? They don't see her often, so they think they can hit her. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, you already don't see this kid often, and you think the best choice you can make when you do get to see them is to hit them? Okay, crazy. Besides, they haven't offered a single apology. They're completely convinced they're in the right, so they'll do it again. Exactly. They don't see any issue in their behavior, so they're not going to change. They're not going to not do it. They're just not going to tell you next time. OP says, I think they don't want to apologize because that's how they raised me, and if they do apologize and admit that they're wrong, it won't just be for this instance, but for the way they acted for decades before this. They're too proud for that. The rest of my family is very much like that, too. So it just kind of makes them look like shitty parents, even though I already think that they're shitty parents and grandparents, and probably shitty people thinking it's okay to hit a child, but... Okay, let's read the update now. It says, same day, later, into the day. Update. This post got a lot more attention than I was expecting. I showed it to my wife and she decided to block everyone who's been calling / texting us about the situation. We'll enjoy the rest of our vacation in peace. I think that's smart. Once we're back home, I'm going to call my parents and explain to them one last time why what they did was unacceptable. I will not be allowing them to be alone with my daughter ever again, and unless I can see for sure that they've learned and changed, they will not be seeing her again at all. I'll keep them muted and contact them only if something urgent happens in the family. I've also seen some comments debating spanking kids. I believe this is a discussion we as humans shouldn't even be having anymore. Spanking or any kind of physical punishment is abuse, and there's never any excuse to resort to violence. I agree. Especially when it comes to children. Your first thought when a child misbehaving shouldn't be to hit them, to physically harm them. That should not be your first, third, fifth, or even 100th fucking choice. You just shouldn't do that. If the child is too young to reason with. They won't understand why you're hitting them. Exactly. All it does is make them scared. And if they're old enough to reason with them, then reason with them. Like, have a conversation. So that was the first one. I have very big boy feelings on spanking children. It does suck that it is actually so normalized in life. Hi, Remy. This is so unimportant. I got real distracted. I don't even know what I was talking about.
1 hour later.
Anyways, I got really off topic and I have no idea what I was just talking about. So we're gonna move on. I'm gonna scroll through the titles and I'm gonna pick another one.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, this was my attempt at a commentary YouTube video. I hope it was entertaining. I wanted to film something that I like to watch on YouTube. Because, you know, if I like to watch it and other people also like to watch it, so maybe people will watch it, my video. We'll see. If you did happen to watch this video and you got all the way to the end, thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, if you wouldn't mind dropping a like and subscribing, that'd be pretty cool.